I want to continue the video that I did the other day on saying that anti-white politics is reactionary, and I still stand by that position. Now, many people are seem to be willing to agree with the statement that if you say kill whitey, white people will reject your politics. I mean, that's just common sense. If you threaten to kill the group, that group will not want to follow you. Now, of course, being the dishonest pile of garbage that identity pollers are, what they did was assume that I was like dog whistling or trying to think of any criticism of white people as what he's talking about. No, I'm talking about knowing the difference between being anti-white and anti-racist. There's actually a very clear distinction. Saying you're going to kill all white people is anti-white. Saying that you want to combat racism among the white community is anti-racism. Now, I don't think it's really all that hard to understand that. That's pretty simple, and someone of even a moderate intelligence should be able to understand that. Yet the knee-jerk ID poll reaction by many people, and this was primarily on Twitter, not so much on YouTube. On YouTube it was very minimal, but on Twitter it was amazing. My one tweet saying that threatening to kill white people will not get white people to join your cause got hundreds of likes and an astronomical load of responses. I have never gotten that much attention for one single tweet in my entire life. Not even the announcement that I was going to debate Sargon of Akkad got that much. It's really a polarizing issue. You either don't want to declare your intention to kill people for the color of their skin, or you're a racist piece of shit. Like, there just can't be anything in between. I mean, it boggles my mind that people can't understand this. I mean, aside from just screaming racist at me, which is what everyone did, not one person, not in all the tweets that were sent back, not one contained a rational argument. Like 99% of them were all just calling me racist. Oh, maybe this guy thinks racism doesn't exist. No, I never said that. I never implied that either. All I said was that threatening to kill white people won't win the white working class over to you. And even some people said, didn't you read Settlers? There is no white working class. I'm like, okay, that's true. Isn't it amazing how you'll attack first worldism saying, you know, there's the working class in the first world too, including white people. Most of the population in the U.S. is working class. That being, white people are 60% of the population, so you would be saying that a good majority of the working class would be white, but then turn around and say, well, or read Sakai. Well, I mean, of course, this is the same double thing that's always used against third worldism. Attack third worldism on one basis and then use the exact opposite to attack it on another, providing no ideological consistency whatsoever. That's okay. I'm used to that kind of dishonesty. But it's really strange. It's a very simple concept. Do you or do you not believe in the following statement? If you threaten to kill white people will follow you. I mean, it's very, very simple. We are not talking about, oh, you're not allowed to criticize white supremacy. I suggested no such thing. I very clearly did not, and I very clearly said racism exists. The fact that you have to go to such depths of dishonesty shows how bad your position is. You know you're wrong. Do you believe that statement is correct or not? It's pretty simple. I don't understand why first worldists can't seem to understand that. Because third worldists seem to understand exactly what I'm saying without any difficulty, and we choose the global proletariat over the first world, so-called proletariat, the vast majority of the third world proletariat being people of color to begin with. But somehow you're racist. Okay, whatever. You don't really have to make sense. That's fine. I don't really expect you to. It's just so bizarre that even when I said people aren't making rational arguments, they're just using mockery and insults, they respond to that with mockery and insults. like, you couldn't have a bigger admission of your failure to understand what's going on. You literally cannot defend your position at all, because if you had to answer the question, you would be wrong. Do you think white people are going to follow you if you threaten to kill them? The answer is obviously no. They're not going to follow you, but they don't want to actually admit that. So it's very strange how the same people will attack me saying, you know, there's a first world proletariat too, and most people are working class in the U.S., which would a majority of would be white people, but then turn around and say there's no white proletariat. It's very interesting. This is why we largely sit back and laugh at first worldism. It is so utterly contradictory and so ideologically confused, it has no idea what to do. It contradicts itself on a constant basis, yet always fails to build revolution while never actually acknowledging it. I mean, I've gone over this with every debate I've ever had with our socialism board or subreddit, whatever. The same thing. Has there been a revolution in an advanced industrial country as Marx predicted? The answer is no. It did not happen that way. The more backwards countries are the ones who did revolution. And a few people try to claim that Russia was. That's right. Feudal Russia, which was, one of the most, if not the most backward country in Europe, was an advanced capitalist economy like Germany, the US, or Britain. Like, you're an idiot. You really are an idiot if you think that. And that's one of the main points that we do make, that Marx was wrong in this regard. And in fact, the richer a country is, the more advanced a country is, the less revolutionary potential there is available. I mean, that's not controversial to say. That's pretty obvious. If you walked into Western Europe, which has the greatest welfare state available, go and show me one person that's willing to die in a revolution. You're not going to find it. There is a reason why, of the few revolutions that are still going on today, they're all in the third world. That's for a reason. So, I mean, it was just incredible how saying something as simple as threatening a group of people doesn't win them over to your side is so terribly controversial, when really that should be something that's common sense. At this point, it's like, do first worldists know how bad that they are? Like, it really makes me wonder. I mean, ideology is basically dead in the first world. I mean, you're trying to do things that make any sense, or trying to formulate anything that's rational, just is non-existent. I'll give you a good example of something I said previously. You remember Mason Steiner. Mason Steiner said that the anti-white politics makes it difficult for him to organize in places where he goes. When he goes and he tries to organize people together, the anti-white politics ends up ruining everything. Like, you end up having them just not wanting to join because of that. I mean, if you couldn't get a better example of shooting yourself in the foot. That's it. I mean, you screwed up. You're sabotaging yourself. And hey, if you want to sabotage the first world and drive the whole thing into a racial civil war, by all means, collapse the imperialist core. Just have the United States completely fall into, like, complete chaos, complete devastation, because that's only going to be good for the third world, because then they'll have the breathing room necessary to struggle for themselves. So by all means, have at it. Totally prove me wrong by instigating a civil war and showing how ID poll totally isn't a problem. Let me make another point. What did Donald Trump promise people? People who were dumb enough to believe him. Oh, he's going to bring back the jobs, bring back the middle class, ... Basically all the concerns that both people on the right and the left, the working class, have on both sides, are worried about. Now, Donald Trump went about it a completely different way, But essentially, yeah, he was promising them he's going to give them all the good things that they used to have. They were going to bring them back to the Norman Rockwell painting, also Mexicans, etc. And what is it that people on the other side, the people who were cheerleading, warmongering Hillary, universal health care, which LOL, you're not going to get that from Hillary, and other social programs that are frankly necessary, or other countries acknowledge are necessary for people. But the Hillary side went completely into ID poll and completely alienated, a huge portion of the voting public. I'm not saying voting for Hillary would have accomplished anything, but you can see what happened, where she alienated people who could have voted for her and drove them into the arms of Donald Trump. Yeah, actually, Hillary Clinton is responsible for Hillary Clinton losing. Don't give me this bullshit about Russian bots or the elections being hacked or anything like that. The only hacking that took place was somebody inside the Democratic Party releasing documents showing how she screwed over Bernie Sanders from getting the nomination, the guy who would have given them the things that they want. I mean, there seems to be a very clear line with both parties. They do want things to be economically better, to go back to having a strong middle class, etc. They both want that. They just see different paths on how to do it. In lies the difference between Democrats and Republicans. But they both do want the same thing, so they wanted the same goal, relatively. But then you completely alienate the whole section by spewing the ID poll garbage. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that it doesn't work. What are you trying to build a revolution of? Are you trying to build a revolution of workers or ID pollers? Because the thought that somebody who gets triggered and threatens to kill themselves because of something someone said on Twitter, picking up a rifle and fighting a revolution, is completely ridiculous. And there is no making fun of me or insulting me to get around that. The statement is true, and you know it. It's just, people don't realize how bad theory is right now. This is largely why I'm a third worldist, because we avoid all of this nonsense that doesn't work. We choose a different path, a different theory, a different praxis, etc. So, you know what? Scream racist at me all you want, because you can't form a coherent argument for why the position I hold is wrong. Literally, all you can do is virtue signaling. I can be a better anti-racist than anybody else as a response to someone who's disagreeing with you. You can't form a rational argument. All you can throw is insults. And the guy says, yeah, I'll bet with an attitude like that, all your subscribers are probably white. Well, first of all, I would like you to be able to prove that, what with not being able to see them. I'm certain that there's a lot of people of color who are friends of mine, particularly people in the third world. And somebody, maybe you've heard of him, Steve Struggle. I don't know if you remember the interview I did with him. He said he likes my work. He's friends with me on Skype and Facebook, and we talk sometimes. He said he really likes the work that I do, full well knowing I'm a third worldist. I mean, what does the opinion of Steve Struggle matter, right? Well, it would be a complete non sequitur anyway. What would it matter what the color demographics of my viewership would be? That wouldn't determine whether I'm right or wrong. It's a complete non sequitur, but then again, you aren't making rational arguments anyway. So, you know what? If you want to respond to me and call me racist, go ahead. That's the best you can do. But if you would really like to actually engage in the subject, let me know, because that would be worthwhile. So until then, big up to everybody who wants to reject ID poll and go back to class struggle. I know they like to say class reductionism, not like Marxism is a theory about class struggle or anything. That's like saying chemistry is so science reductionist. So, you know what? At least try to think about the position that you have and try to form rational arguments. That's all I ask. And Finally, thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.